TomaraDawn, written by Marlon LaCert, a book made by a mystic for all. Live life with love and hope. TomaraDawn, Chapter 1. Oh, how weird it is to gaze upon our distant future, and then I pause to look upon its history. So here I write, penning it all to paper, as I will show you your history of what will be the future. Confused yet? Don't worry, you're not alone, for even I be surrounded by my own confusion. However, I will do my utmost to shine light into the darkest reaches of your soul. Looking for a place in history to start with? I have chosen the year and the place. From there, I will show you a snippet of time. Then, with each book, I'll move back and show you more and more as we get closer to our present. In the year 14,040 AD, or as the locals refer to this year as the year 2000 EC. EC stands for Earthchild. Earthchild is a name given to the lady who is chosen to bear the words of God. We stand and wait for the day that your people will come to us. Now Max Earthchild had trouble believing in some God, for he is a self-proclaimed atheist. However, space fascinated him and filled him with the desire to know. The first interstellar vessel was about to be tested, and his last name got him on the shortlist to be captain. There are many others with the last name Earthchild. Most had given into the role of preaching about the gods, who so named them. Max scoffed on the inside about an all-powerful, all-knowing being in human form. Yet, for over 2,000 years, his family had not needed anything but to preach and teach. Yes, this religion was that of education and science, for how else do you get closer to the gods when they await you in space? The faster-than-light drive that is in Max's new ship was removed from an organic ship that must have seen battle over 2,000 years ago. The debris litters the space between the homeworld and Mars. Many even think that's why the gods came, to save the people of his homeworld. Max knew that if they did indeed save us, we should at least thank them in person. Max also knew how lucky he was, as there are only a limited number of faster-than-light drives that can be used. For despite the best effort of the priests, the science behind the organic drives could not be cracked. Only theory and pure conjecture were all that could be developed. He remembers that when he was younger, the discovery of some technology in the lunar colonies had once led people to think it was their ancestors who defeated the organic ships. But a detailed study of the lunar colonies and Mars colonies revealed that they had long since been abandoned before the alien ships came into the system. Not only that, not even the best weaponry they had could even scratch the organic ships. So try as they may, try as they might, their mighty ancestors could not have put up such a fight. One of the problems with the organic drives is that they're not designed or ever intended to be fitted into a ship of steel and silicone. After years of research, the priests found a way to cause the nerves to regrow through a special fluid. This fluid now carries the nerves throughout the central nodes in the ship, allowing the organic drives to propel a hunk of steel through space. Now the priests have theorized that there might be two different types of drives. The drive system on these ships requires low gravity to activate, thus Max and his ship would have to travel to the edge of Pluto and past in order to activate their hyperdrive. Okay, I should rephrase that. It's more of a subspace drive than a hyperdrive. As for how it works, apparently you are sitting upon a pond that can be compared to water. Now imagine a reality like this. The drive takes the ship and submerges it beneath the surface where the speed of light is a touch different. Even time itself flows differently here. However, an unshielded ship, or should I say an unprotected ship, will have its matter converted directly into energy, and everything will be lost. So a field has to be put in place that keeps a variant of our current functional reality with us. Otherwise, if we change the laws of physics too much, our very matter and existence will break down into nothingness, and all will end in a flash of light. It is here that the priests think that matter finds its strong nuclear repulsive force. What I mean is that gravity in subspace actually pushes and buffets a craft, not pulls and snags on it. So in theory, in order to leave a star system really quickly, all you need to do is enter subspace, and the gravity of the system would shoot you out like a cannonball. This would be a very rough ride. And if you tried to come into the system through subspace, you'd be spending so much energy just to fight the tides of gravity that it'd be pointless. Now Max remembers attending one of the priest's lectures about the nature of matter. The priest talked about how matter must slip in and out of subspace periodically. That's why nuclear forces repel one another, explaining why it's so hard to create a sustainable fusion reaction to power the starship. When you get close enough to the atomic core, the subspace repulsive forces will begin to exceed the gravitational attractive forces. Now, the amount of time the atomic nucleus actually spends within subspace is actually infinitesimally small, but during that time, the matter is converted into energy. However, it does not dissipate, but is instead slung back into our reality as a solid. One theory is that this is how time is seen by the atom. The rhythm of slipping into subspace and back controls atomic decay of isotopes. This could explain why high gravitational forces seem to slow time, for under such high gravity the atom would spend less and less time in subspace. Also, a similar effect can be found at high velocities. The nature of subspace is not fully understood, but thanks to the alien organic ships, the knowledge of mankind has been artificially boosted to the point that it would take thousands of years for men to get there by natural means. Max is going on a journey where he is going to hop onto a starship, travel to the outer reaches of the star system, and then slip into space reserved for atoms. Yes, atoms. A place where gravity repels, not attracts. A place where the laws of physics hold no known grounds. Yes, it is unknown as the space he is about to head into. But they know it can be done, for these alien ships have done it, and so too had the visiting gods. Yes, but Max is an atheist. He does not believe in gods, but whoever they were, he does feel he owes them a debt of gratitude. The more they study these organic ships, the more they realize these organic ships were not friendly, for they did not come to his homeworld for peaceful means. They came to the homeworld to harvest, to conquer, to strip mine all organics from the world. By the time they were done, they would have left the world barren and sterile. Thankfully, the homeworld is still green and the winds can still blow leaves around. The birds still sing, a place where people can find joy and happiness if they look for it. But that part is teaching from the religion, for they teach you to find happiness and joy in everything around you. Remember, Max thinks, I want to be an atheist. Then the big question hits him. Why do I want to be an atheist? Perhaps I'm just rebelling against the name Earthchild that was given to me? For true, I may share the same genes as my great-great-great-great-grandmother, but I don't feel that great, for like everyone else around me, I have flaws. But enough, space awaits. I must inspect the ship as they get it ready. I must learn every bolt, every wire, every vibration, and every hum in every corridor. I must learn it all from top to bottom. If anything goes wrong, knowing can save lives. He stutters as he realizes that his knowledge, his devotion to knowledge, is all that will keep them alive. For stupidity and second-hand stupidity is the primary cause of death, and that is something that he must avoid, for he is captain of his very own ship. The ship is named Earthchild. With it, all the hopes and all the dreams of the whole world travel with them. The priests hope that they will find the gods and bring the gods back, and the gods will shed new light upon the homeworld and raise the people to a new level of consciousness and understanding. Max hopes the gods will remain a mystery, for the question of do they exist or do they not exist? As long as there is some doubt, there is freedom. And what if he proves the gods aren't real? What will that do? He thinks about it for a moment. He realizes that this may cause the collapse of his world. Maybe not, for maybe his world is stronger than he thinks. Maybe the hearts of men are immutable, unstoppable, and will continue to believe regardless, no matter what the evidence, no matter what the proof. Perhaps they cannot be shaken. Now Max's curiosity is triggered. I really wonder, will they falter? I got too much to think about right now. Now back to work on the ship. Exiting the airlock as it closes behind him, he is now fully breathing the air of his ship, and no longer that of the space station. His boots clank upon the gravity plating as he walks down the hall. He looks at the smooth metal skin of the ship's interior and is amazed, for the artwork is beautiful. Much time and effort has been spent etching and designing the patterns that coat the walls around the ship. It's phenomenal. Why couldn't they have made it plain, he wonders. He remembers the priest saying, we got to show our best face forward when we greet the gods. For if they had sent a plain, ordinary ship, the gods might not be happy. This way they can show the gods their culture and how artistic, how mentally advanced they become. Max wonders, if the gods are really all-knowing and all-powerful, would they really be impressed by such art? Would they really care? It's easier to be an atheist, he says, as he goes back to inspecting the ship from top to bottom. This ship has decks A, B, C, D, E, F, and G. He just finished boarding deck E. The FTL organic drive takes up the centers of B to F. A tube connecting the organic ship drive contains nerve clusters running all the way from the tip to all the way down to the tail of the ship, where the atomic drives and power plants are located. By the time loading is complete, he'll have a crew totaling 128. The ship also has 4 landing shuttles. These are stored below Deck G. This will allow them to set down on any planet that are habitable by human beings. and perhaps this will even allow them to sit face to face with those they seek amongst the stars. The organic drive requires lots of power, but thankfully its nutrient cycle is self-contained, so all it needs is a few powerful reactors at the end of the ship to provide power needed to keep the organic system running. Above the top deck A is a heavy plated shield which covers the entire top of A, the edge of B, C, and D. After that, deck E, F, and G are behind the shield by sloping inwards. This heavy plating was set with the hopes that it will hinder and halt most spaceborne projectiles. It is not 100% perfect, but it should work. It's basically a three-hulled system, considering the outer hull would be what we would call a Whipple shield, followed by an air gap, then a second hull and a type of gel between the second hull and the third hull. This gel is designed as a non-Newtonian fluid, designed with the idea/prayer that it'll dissipate impact, thus providing protection to the crew. Max begins to grumble for a moment as he begins to think about the 128 crew that he must babysit on this journey. A few of them he personally got to handpick, but the majority were chosen for political and religious reasons, all because their family was owed a favor or it was to bridge some gap to help bring about stable political peace. That's the kind of thing that really worries Max. The ship will be a social powder keg. Some of the factions could not and would not get along even if they were bribed. Yet those in command think they'll get along perfectly well aboard the ship. Must be nice to be a dreamer. Okay, Max has to admit that if anyone's a dreamer, he is the biggest dreamer of them all, for he accepted this post with full knowledge of what he was getting into, yet he still holds on to happiness for his position. However, the closer he gets to the captain's seat, the more weight he feels upon his shoulders. Max starts to worry. Will this weight break him? Will he snap? Will he go mad? Will he lose it? Or will he just pretend it doesn't affect him? Pretend to be a captain with no emotions and hide behind a shell of remorse and regret? No, he shakes his head. That's not the path he chose to take. That's not the path of an Earthchild. Earthchilds were supposedly named by the gods. They were chosen. Yes, they were chosen to travel in space. Most respect him because of his name, and being an Earthchild, he has an image to uphold. He cannot show weakness, he cannot show sorrow, for he must show happiness, optimism, and thankfulness to the gods. His atheism must be hidden and put on hold, for the crew expects him to be a religious leader, not just the captain of the ship. Oh, the stress of wearing two hats, as if the burden of being captain wasn't enough. Having the name Earthchild implies that he is here for their spiritual and moral guidance as well. Okay, a captain is also there for their moral guidance, but to be responsible for their souls as well? A captain is responsible for their lives. Then again, perhaps a truly great captain is responsible for every aspect of his entire crew. Ouch, he thinks. That's 128 names I guess I must memorize. For if I don't learn them all, some will feel hurt, dejected, rejected, alienated, and resentful. Still, 128 names, that's a lot. Max stops to think about it for a second. Then he realizes his contact book has 152 names written down. So if he can remember 152 names, he should easily be able to change that and remember 128, for they are his crew and his legs to stand on. They got his back and he is their brains. Together they will get the job done. Together they will open space for all mankind. Renewed hope and renewed vigor fills his step as he boards the elevator. Now heading towards the captain's chair. Decks D, Deck C, Deck B, all whiz by. Finally Deck A, ping, pop. The elevator, he steps out. He looks upon a circular bridge. He sees the almighty captain's chair. He spies someone working. He quickly realizes they are not his crew. They are one of the station's technicians doing fix-up, finishing preparing the ship for departure. As he sits down in the chair, just out of curiosity, he looks up the name of the technician fiddling around with the circuitry. Something is wrong. This guy's name doesn't show up in the station's roster. He shouldn't be working here. Then a realization fills Max's bones. He could confront the guy right now, but if Max's hunch is correct, confronting him would only cause disaster. You see, there is this terrorist group that believes it's against the will of the gods to travel through space, for they believe that space belongs to the gods, and the gods alone. They claim that if we open up space, it'll spell our doom, and they will use any means necessary to get their point across. Construction of the ship had high security all along. Security should not have slacked, yet somehow, someway, someone got through. He quietly gets up from his seat. walks to the elevator, and slinks down to level B. He opens the communication console and notifies the station. This is Max Earthchild with an emergency communique for Space Station Command. This is Space Station Command. Please state the nature of your emergency. I need to verify whether the technician working on the bridge should be there or not. Confirming, 1 second, please. Seconds feel like hours as worry hounds the soul. Captain, we have found some indiscrepancies in the logs. Someone has tampered with the computer system. No one should be working on that ship right now, as the ship is listed as complete and has been turned over to your command. Can security confirm the ID of the intruder? Negative. We can only conclude that he should not be there. Feel free to deal with it any way you see fit. It's now confirmed that the technician is a fake and a real terrorist. Max proceeds to open the weapon locker using his captain's code. He pulls out an automatic rifle and carefully returns to Deck A. He sees the technician opening up the box and reaching in. Almost without thinking, Max points the gun and fires. Crack, blood and brains. It was a direct kill shot. Perfect. All is good now. Perhaps not. Max walks over to the box to check it out. Inside the box is a bomb and it's ticking. Max has 5 minutes to get from Deck A to Deck G. He knows full well that the elevator will normally be a 4-minute journey. Unless, he thinks, grabbing the box, barely thinking at all. He is now in the elevator. He hollers to the computer, speed override. The computer demands a code. Upon giving the code, the elevator's normal speed is being overwritten. It is now moving at the fastest velocity the servos can possibly go, all the way to Deck G within 2 minutes. The elevator comes to a screeching halt. The jarring of the stopping elevator is almost enough to knock the bomb out of his arms. But, like all great football players, he has a good hold upon it. He emerges from the elevator at a run. He then throws the bomb into a shuttlecraft, seals it, closes the outer hatch, and hits the eject button. The shuttlecraft is now drifting in space and barely moving fast enough. With 1 minute to go, he hollers to the computer to override the shuttlecraft's internal computer and cause it to fire off at maximum thrust. The computer does so. With the shuttlecraft moving at maximum velocity, kaboom! The shockwave shake the station and the ship. Pieces of the shuttlecraft smash into the station and the ship, doing minor damage, putting small holes in the outer hull. This will now delay them a few more days, as they now got patching to do before the ship would be ready for launch. But if the bomb had remained in the control room, it would have been death and destruction of many. He sighs as he leans against the wall, huffing and puffing, letting his body slowly relax as his body realizes the danger is now over. Shish, Max says. If I have to put up with this every day, I'll grow old before my time. Then again, maybe this is what a real captain has to deal with. Such stress on a daily basis. Oh well, I'll deal with it as it comes. He checks with the ship's computer to make sure that no one else is aboard. Finding he's alone aboard the ship, he then begins to notify Station Command that they need to get secure personnel over to fix the damage done to the control center, and they must investigate what all has been done. This is Max Earthchild with communique for Central Command. This is Central Command here. The intruder has been pacified. They were, however, carrying a bomb, which has been disposed of. I will also need a few secure technicians to fix any damage and to investigate what all has been done. All right, we'll arrange for a crew of 4 to be over in the next few hours. Anything else, Captain? Yes, I need a replacement shuttlecraft. Confirm your request. You need a new shuttlecraft? Affirmative. One has been lost due to bomb disposal. Confirmed. We'll have a spare one shipped over immediately. Thank you. May the gods show you the way. Max out. May the gods show you the way. Command out. But for now, Max is returning, or should I say retiring, to the cabin aboard the ship. For it'll be his home for the rest of his life. The captain's quarters are beautiful, elegant, and very artistic. Sadly, their artistic flavor is not quite a match for his own. In time, it'll grow on him. For in time, it'll be the only home he knows. For the past will be forgotten as it fades and shades into lost memories. Okay, all said, that's a little much, but needless to say, it's how it will be. It turns out, after a full inquiry, they discover the saboteur was trying to plant a bomb in the navigation system, so that when they entered FTL space, the bomb would have detonated within 5 minutes. The results would have allowed the religious group to claim that this is a sign from the gods, banning mankind from ever leaving the solar system. Problem has now been fixed. The boarding shall soon begin. Sadly, Max wonders if any of these new crew members might have sympathies towards the religious group that believes the stars belong to the gods. He casts it aside for a minute. He makes a note to self. Be very vigilant. Keep an eye open. But you can't go accusing without proof. He greets the crew with a smile and a welcome aboard as he recites their name flawlessly for crew member after crew member, not once messing up a name. And each time he receives a smile and a piece of loyalty in exchange for every name. It is strange how a name can buy loyalty, but then again, someone who knows your name implies they know you, and by implying they know you means that you should know them, and if you know them in some way, you owe them a little piece of loyalty, a little piece of yourself, because they have taken the time to learn a little piece of you. So yes, names have power. Max can see he has it right. The crew will be given a week to familiarize themselves with the ship. Once they have learned their specific system by heart, preparations to depart will be made. In reality, these crew members have spent years and years studying for their part that they will be doing on the ship. But study and simulation can only take you so far, where having your hands on the actual real thing can make the difference between life and death in the place we call space. For the ship is not just a home, it is a sanctuary from the death of the chilling void. It's your whole world, it's your shield and your heart. The two cannot be apart without experiencing death. Yes, space is a cold, unforgiving and dangerous place, but it doesn't have to be. With the right technology, the right ship, the right crew, the right destination, space can be made safer. There will always be dangers, there will always be troubles and trials, but so too is found in all life. A person that lives their life without ever leaving home thinks they are safe. But there is such a thing called house fires. A car could come crashing into their house. A meteorite could smash through the roof. All kinds of strange and bizarre things can happen no matter where you are. Are we ever really, truly safe? Is there any place we can have 100% safety? Perhaps, or close to it. But the more secure we become, the less freedom we have. And if you have almost no freedom, is that really living and experiencing and tasting the flavors of life? I think not. For a life lived without love, joy, sorrow, and sadness is life lived without ever tasting, experiencing, knowing, and learning. Such a life without all of those is nothing. Max shakes his head and decides to get back to work and focus on the tasks at hand. Sadly, his mind keeps getting distracted, for the ship needs his attention and the crew needs his reassurance. So he goes from post to post, inspecting and asking and talking, also finding out how people are adapting to their new stations, seeing if they have any questions, any insecurities, any doubts and fears, and he nurtures their hopes and seeds their dreams so the crew may grow stronger with each encounter. It is true they have no idea what to expect out there. They could find deep space full of organic ships that'll blow them to pieces, or they could find the gods of the ancestors. Perhaps the gods of the ancestors have passed on and they are now relics of the past, now something almost forgotten and turned to dust. Max shakes himself a good one. I have to keep focused. The crew needs me on the positive side of things. For here they are trying to grow hope. For here they are trying to grow courage and strength. Sometimes it's hard enough needing to till the soil of the crew when your own soil needs to be plucked, pruned, weeded, and sheared. After a long, hard day, he returns to his cabin for a much-needed rest. He says, a few more days of this and we'll be ready to go. Sleep comes to him slow and troubled, for he is a young man with great responsibilities on his shoulders. He is a young man feeling the ages of many. It is like he has become old overnight. Responsibility and duty, they can change a man. The hour of the launch finally approaches, as the ship is now finally ready to leave the station. Once the umbilical is cut, the ship will be like a baby adrift in space, under its own power and its own desires, where it'll spend its adolescence among the stars, learning, becoming, and understanding. Once the ship is pushed a safe distance from the station, it'll be able to fire its main drives. Main drives consist of atomic engines that pack one heck of a kick. Even with the gravity plating they have on the floor, he will still feel the acceleration. He is very glad that he was sitting down when the engines were fired, for anyone standing would probably be lying flat on the floor by now. As their speed picks up, their destination, Pluto Station. The station is staffed with about 24 priests who spend their time searching and scanning the heavens for clues of where the gods might be. Once acceleration is leveled out, Max returns to his chamber to contemplate the idea of how he'll deal with some more highly religious people. His nap seems uneventful, or should have been uneventful, but halfway through he is woken up as the first officer is calling him. Apparently in the mess hall, 16 people are now sick from food poisoning. He checks with the doctor. The doctor says, "It is not too severe, but their stations will have to be covered by other people because they'll be unable to work for a few days. Wanting to see for himself, he goes down to the medical facility and sees men, women grabbing their stomachs in gut-wrenching pain. He is so glad he can't feel their pain. He asks, "What did they eat?" Opening the roster, he looks at what they had each eaten. They each had a different variety of food. Nothing seems to be in common. So why are they all suffering? I should rephrase that. A few of them had foods that are in common, but the variety was so diverse that they all shouldn't be sick. Max ponders a thought. "Well, give me a list of the cook crew." He looks at the list of the cook crew, but nothing really stands out. Nothing jars his memory or triggers something in the back of his mind. Just to be sure, he reshuffles the cook crews around. That is the end of Chapter 1. Please stay tuned for Chapter 2, for we will soon bring it to you.